Hey guys, Emmanuel here, and before we start the video, I just want to ask you to smash the like button and subscribe to the channel. I'll give you a chance to do that. Alright, now that that's out of the way, I think the Toronto Raptors would be the best landing spot for Kevin Durant. So as you all know, Kevin Durant has requested a trade from the Brooklyn Nets, and honestly, good for him, right? Because for the last 3 years or so, the Brooklyn Nets have been nothing short of a disaster, a circus, and the leading clown of the circus has been Kyrie Irving. In fact, Kevin Durant waited specifically for Kyrie Irving to opt into his contract with the Brooklyn Nets before he requested a trade. So he wanted to make sure that by all means, he will not be playing with Kyrie Irving next season. And honestly, good for him, right? Because that's what happens when you have Kyrie Irving on the boat. The boat starts to sink, right? Kyrie Irving has been a cancer, a detriment to every single NBA team he's played on, right? Whether it is the Cleveland Cavaliers, the Boston Celtics, the Brooklyn Nets, and now whichever godforsaken, unfortunate team that trades for him. That's their issue. But this video isn't about Kyrie Irving. This video is about Kevin Durant. So let's go into it. Although Kevin Durant has requested that he be traded to 2 spots, Phoenix and Miami, I'm here to convince you and tell you why the Toronto Raptors are, in my opinion, probably the best landing spot for Kevin Durant. Number one, the organization. The Toronto Raptors are one of the best organizations in the entire league. In my opinion, there are really 4 to 5 organizations in the entire league, in which I think is very respectable when you factor in things such as owners, GMs, head coaches, and front office. These teams being the Golden State Warriors, obviously, they won the championship just last month. And right when they won the championship, my first thought was they are the epitome of excellence, right? Every team should strive to be like the Golden State Warriors. They have a very smart, not stingy owner in Joe Lacob. They have a very, very smart GM in Bob Myers. How do we know? Most of the guys that were on the Golden State Warriors championship team ever since like 2015 have been drafted, the crucial guys, right? And then they have a very, very smart coach in Steve Kerr, right? I combined 9 NBA championships from his player days and his coach days. And then they have Stephen Curry, the linchpin superstar of their team. That's what makes the organization so good. That's what the culture, that's what sets the culture, right? And another team I think is exactly like that are the Toronto Raptors. The Toronto Raptors front office is really good. The owners aren't too stingy. They stay out of basketball affairs. They don't meddle in it, right? They have a very, very, very smart president in Masai Ujiri. He's one of the most coveted execs in the entire NBA. And then you have a world-class coach like Nick Nurse. The other teams that I think are in this league are the Boston Celtics. I think they're very well run. And then the Milwaukee Bucks. I think the Milwaukee Bucks are very well run too. Kevin Durant will benefit greatly by going to an organization that is well run and well managed, especially after having to deal with the dysfunction that was the Brooklyn Nets for the past 3 years, right? The dysfunction that came with Kyrie Irving not being there, the James Harden only being there for a year, then leaving, Kevin Durant missing games, the front office seeming like they're giving in to Kyrie Irving's demands. What Kevin needs is a well-run, competent organization that can just make it easy for him to ball. The last time he had this was in Golden State. He had this with the Golden State Warriors, but he left. And he left for a very specific reason. He left because he wanted to go prove something to himself. He wanted to go prove something to the entire NBA world, which was, I want to prove that I can win a championship outside of the Golden State Warriors. People say he was carried to the championships that he won. And that's why he left the best basketball situation, right? Golden State to go to the Brooklyn Nets. And it's now that he's making this decision, he needs to think about it, right? He said that he wants to go to either Miami or the Phoenix Suns. I think those situations won't work out for him. And by the way, in my opinion, I don't think Phoenix counts as a really well-run organization because just about 2 years ago or 3 years ago, the Phoenix Suns were atrocious. They didn't turn around until Chris Paul got to that organization. And Chris Paul has that effect on every team. He had that effect on OKC, the Clippers, New Orleans. It's just a byproduct of having Chris Paul on his team. Now, Miami is a well-run organization, right? They have a very good coach in Eric Spoelstra, and Pat Riley is a great recruiter. He's a great GM. He's a good guy for building teams. But the thing is, both those two teams, I don't want Kevin Durant to go to them. Why? Because both of those two teams are very well established, right? Last year, those two teams were the number one seeds in both of their respective conferences, right? And that'll be just like Golden State all over for him, for Kevin, because it feels like you're being carried. It feels like the ride is too easy. And that's why I think the Raptors would be perfect for Kevin, because Kevin can't return to Golden State, right? Because it'll be like him giving up and saying, you guys were right? It'll be him crawling back to Zex. It'll be him saying, listen, you guys were right. I can't win without Stephen Curry. I can't win without the Golden State Warriors, right? And when you forfeit that, your legacy will be hurt forever. Every single time you were talked in the all-time great whatever conversation, they'll say, well, he couldn't win anywhere else. I mean, the Golden State Warriors won without him, with him, and then without him again, and then that's why he decided to come back. And so he can't return to the Golden State Warriors, and he can't join the Boston Celtics. That would be another team that I would say go to the Boston Celtics, but he can't join the Boston Celtics. Why? Because the Celtics just swept him in the playoffs this year. That'll be like 2016 all over again, in which Kevin literally joined a team that just whooped him before they went to the finals. And that would be the exact same thing as the Boston Celtics. They swept Kevin this year and they went to the finals. They're very established, right? He can't join them, right? And he obviously can't join the Bucks, right? Like that's just not happening. Kevin, for his legacy, needs to win a championship outside of the Golden State Warriors. And the best place, I think, in my opinion, to do this, to cement this legacy, would be the Toronto Raptors. And I have a few reasons why. Toronto is where you go to clean up your image. Look what Toronto did for Kawhi Leonard. When I think about Kawhi Leonard, that's how significant it is. And Toronto is the furthest away that Kevin can get from Golden State, right? A whole nother country, right? A whole nother system. Well-run organization, good team. Toronto would have to give up Pascal Siakam, draft picks, a lot of draft picks, but it would be worth it because I think Kevin Durant and Scottie Barnes and Fred VanVleet as a core, I think that's good enough to challenge for a championship. And that's a thing that Kevin has to consider. You have to be perceived as a team that challenges for a championship, not a team that is favored. That's too easy. Right, because you've been on a team already that's just been heavily favored to win a championship, and that skews the perception. That skews people's perception, and it makes them think that Kevin Durant is being carried. It cannot seem like it's too easy for you to win a championship. You need to be able to look like you're going to challenge for the championship, and Toronto does that perfectly. And if he wins a championship with that team, there will be no doubt, no questions about Kevin's ability to win championships, to lead teams. There will be no doubt that Kevin Durant could, in fact, win outside of Stephen Curry. Because look, Kevin left, Steph won without him. Steph won with, Stephen Curry is in the best position possible. He won without Kevin, won with Kevin, won after Kevin. No one can ever question Stephen Curry, but Kevin doesn't have that same cachet. Couldn't win with Russell Westbrook, only won with Stephen Curry, couldn't win with Kyrie Irving. So he has to think about this, right? And come on, Toronto, you would love the management. Masai Ujiri, Nick Nurse, brilliant world-class coach, right? He does a lot without a superstar, wins a championship with a superstar. And not to mention, it's Toronto, right? Drake, a whole country behind you. You will be immortalized. Every time you cross the border into Canada, you will have free everything. Free drinks, free food. Bro, you gotta go to Toronto, right? I think Phoenix and Miami just can't beat that. But yeah, those are my thoughts, guys. If you like this kind of content, again, I ask you, please leave a like, leave your thoughts in the comments below, and make sure to hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell. And see you next time, kids.